Wyatt Show.
I want winners.
This crowd is alive.
Play to win the game.
Wyatt from the shotgun, two backs alongside.
Knock him out, John.
Wyatt gets the ball.
It won't be long.
Wyatt back to throw. Wyatt looks, fires toward the end zone. Passes, caught for touchdown by Matthew Butler.
Speak to it.
They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
I get out of hand, just tell me I'm a jerk and shut up.
Let's go scatter the west, right, tight. That's left. 372 Y stick, C-spot.
The Matt Wyatt Show. He's Radio Wyatt.
Well, how am I going to go to college? I'll just play football.
All right, let's go. Let's get the day started, shall we? Live in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. And most importantly, you are here and tuning in, and however you're tuning in and wherever and however you're listening on all the live streams that are going on out there. I see Facebook and Periscope, Twitter, and YouTube all popping up. We're streaming on those. Y'all feel free to comment. Pop that comment in there, and I'll be able to see it and get your question in, maybe comment. We'll communicate that way. You can also call me and text. Call the Davini phone, 995-1059. That's the number to call, 995-1059. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN or 885-3776, depending on whether you need the number or not. Wednesday, middle of the week, better known as Hump Day. Let's go. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Yeah, David on Facebook said Happy Hump Day in Hale State. Myron checking in on Facebook says, Matt, the go-to man, Wyatt. Thanks, Myron. Not everybody feels the same way. Just check out Facebook. Yeah, but not everybody has to like you. You just need one person to like you. That's it. Really, you just need God to like you. All right. So y'all text me on the Country Pleasing text line. It's 885-ESPN. Hey to everybody on 105.9 The Zone. Jackson, Central Mississippi, all the sports folks out there, y'all hit me up on the text line. We're live today in the studio. There's some things to get to. There are a few updates in the college sports coronavirus world. How many tested positive at this school? How many tested positive at that school? Are we going to tailgate? Are we going to have football? And so on and so forth. All that. So I have some updates for you. A world champion Kansas City Chiefs fan, who also played his college ball and high school ball here in the state of Mississippi, is threatening to hold out. Who, what, when, where, all that coming up. We have 100 teams in 100 days continuing. Listen, y'all, today is 66 days away from Saturday, September the 5th, and that's what we're counting it down to in our countdown of 100 teams. And so today is team number 66. That's coming up, and our countdown is always brought to you by Matt Anderson with National Land Realty. That's all coming up later in the show. But y'all need to know something that has happened today. A hearing on Capitol Hill. I'm talking about the Hill. Isn't there a TV show where there was a show called The Hill? I don't watch any of that, okay? And I know I should. And I'm sure I would love it. You had what? You had the one where Julia Louis-Dreyfus was what? That was Veep. I didn't watch any of it. And then there was like this one, The Hill, and there's all these different ones, and House of Cards, and hadn't watched any of that. But I'm aware of it. That's the reason I bring it up. But no, this is The Hill, Capitol Hill. Senators, there's a Senate committee, U.S. senators, that were having a little back and forth questioning college athletics leaders. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, was there. I think other commissioners, ADs. Keith Carter, the Ole Miss athletics director, was there. And this Senate committee today, they met today in Washington, was chaired by, overseen by Roger Wicker, our senator here in the state of Mississippi. And and there's some stuff in this meeting today that I want you to be aware of if you are a fan of college sports. So I'm going to give that to you. First, though, Brett on Facebook says, "Hey, Matt, love the show, Hail State." That's facebook.com/Radio Wyatt. Y'all hit me up over there on Facebook. Brian says, "Hail State from Midtown Memphis." He's watching on YouTube on the brand new YouTube live stream. Brian, hey to you, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Y'all feel free to comment, get your opinions, comments, questions. Otherwise, we'll get them in, and I see them all in one place. It's what's pretty cool about, the way technology is now. And I only figured it out recently because a friend of mine, a listener to the show, Caleb, y'all hear me mention Caleb's comments. He was talking to me one day, and he said, "Hey, I did a little research, and you could do this and that." And he gave me all this information, and I started looking through it. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. So I went and subscribed to a couple different services and got it all hooked up where now we can stream all in these different places at once, and all of your comments, if you comment on YouTube or Facebook or Periscope, it all comes to the same place for me, and I'm able to see all of it. So feel free if you have a question or comment. We'll get that in here. All right, here's where you need to look to find some of this information. Now, this is all pretty recent. And well, I would say pretty recent. I mean, within the last couple of hours. So it's not like I've had a chance to just read through every, as the Bible says, every jot and tittle of all this information. I haven't had a chance to do that. Consuming it here just before the show began. If you'd like to see some of these individual tweets, live tweets yourself, you can. Ross Dellinger, y'all know Ross. He's a friend of the show, friend of mine. A really good writer. He's now with Sports Illustrated. He was with the Baton Rouge Advocate. Before that, he was with the Clarion Ledger. And Ross went to Washington to cover this. He had an initial story a few hours ago, and the headline of that, you can see it on his Twitter feed. It's at Ross Dellinger. Just spell it out, 2 L's. He said less than half of NCAA leaders say they support the modernization of the name, image, and likeness stuff per an inquiry from a U.S. Senate committee. All right, so we're starting to see the seriousness, the level of seriousness of this supposed name, image, and likeness stuff, okay? Not that we questioned it. No, we didn't. We knew it was a serious thing. It was really potentially going to change everything. But what have all the conversations been like up until now? You go, go back 2 or 3 months ago. What were we talking about? Boy, this really could open up a Pandora's box, but we had other things to care about. We had other things to think about. And when we talked about name, image, and likeness, we almost almost jokingly would go, well, we know what that's going to do. Old Billy Bob's Buick dealership down here he's a big Arkansas fan in Little Rock, so he's just going to pay the Little Rock guy a, marketing contract. And lo and behold, that kid winds up going to school at Arkansas. Isn't it amazing how that happens, right? But it's not a joke. This is real stuff. And here's what I think is the genesis of this taking off. It's when California passed the law that the athletes could begin demanding it. And against NCAA legislation, it's their rules. California said it would be against the law in California to keep an athlete from being able to bank his name, image, and likeness. So when that happened in California, what happened? Then Florida did it. And then maybe there's another state, but all these states now, their lawmakers are being pressured to open it up in their state and say, athletes in our state can make money off their name, image, and likeness. You go, well, Matt, why would all these states open it up if it's such a big problem? I'll tell you why. Because all the top recruits are going to go to California. They're all going to go to Florida. If those states open it up and say they can earn money off their name, but you can't in Mississippi, you can't in Alabama, you can't. How big a deal to the local economies are college athletics in the Southeast and in all parts of the country. So that's why there's this push. Now, back to the point. Listen close. According to Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, less than half of NCAA leaders support the modernization of name, image, and likeness. You don't have a majority of people in the NCAA, and that's according to an inquiry, easy for me to say, inquiry that was sent out by this U.S. Senate committee. They're getting real information. So anyway, that leads us up to a stream of tweeting from Ross, who was live tweeting during this Senate committee hearing on Wednesday in Washington. By the way, back over to the live stream of the show on YouTube, Stewart commented, said, "Hail State, you have the best intro of any show. Keep up the great work." I guarantee you it's not because of me, is it, Stewart? It's because of Jack Crystal and Jerry Clower. You get to hear them in the intro. Stewart tuning in on YouTube. He's from Clinton. BMAC on the live stream on YouTube says, if done, the pay must be tied to an objective measure like, what string are you on in the depth chart or playing time? Well, see, how are you going to do that, though, BMAC? Hello to Becky watching on Facebook. Listen, how are you going to do it? That's the question. All right, so let me get into a few of the things that popped up that Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, overheard and tweeted about during this committee meeting. This is going to interest you. This is going to interest you. Ohio State President Michael Drake told the Senate committee to focus on three things. Number one, preempt the name, image, and likeness state laws. Number two, protect conferences from antitrust litigation. And number three, protect amateurism. That's the president at Ohio State. Part of the thing he wants the committee to help him figure out is how to, repeat after me, protect amateurism. Folks, listen. There are a lot of people out here pounding the table. They are not amateurs. They never were. They're getting money. You make money off their names, and they make millions of dollars for the schools. They are not amateurs. Stop with this amateurism. Okay, but listen. The schools and the NCAA are going to battle and battle and battle to protect amateurism. And it ain't going away. It's not simple. And it's not as clear as some people want to make it out to be in reality. Ross tweeted a picture of Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, addressing the committee. They're sitting up in the main seat in the middle of the Senate. Across from Greg Sankey is Roger Wicker, senator from the state of Mississippi. He was the chair of the committee. A quote from Greg Sankey: "We are not perfect yet." Now, listen to this. Senator Roger Wicker asks Ole Miss Athletics Director Keith Carter how much a full scholarship athlete at Ole Miss receives. Carter says it's around $68,000 to $70,000 a year. That includes tuition, cost of attendance, medical expenses, etc. Now, how does that land on you? What does that make you think? What do you think about it? Y'all let me know. You can call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. It's 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. Or shoot me a text on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. The best sausage. I had Country Pleasing jalapeno and cheddar for breakfast this morning, along with other things. As soon as I get done with that package, I'll probably open that package of original. I got to get some more of that maple. Anyway, y'all text me, Country Pleasing text line. It's 885-ESPN. That's a 601 number. 885-ESPN. If you need the number itself, it's 885-3776. Do you agree with that? Are you someone who looks at that and goes, yeah, okay, well, they're getting $68,000 to $70,000 a year on full scholarship, an athlete at Ole Miss? Let's see. Yeah, BMAC on YouTube. If done, the pay is going to have to be tied to some kind of measure, right? All right, here's why fans like BMAC are saying that. Let's say I am a senior quarterback at Mississippi State. I'm a senior quarterback at Mississippi State. And I've played for 4 years. Let's just say hypothetically, because this one, okay, seriously, let's just say hypothetically, I'm a senior quarterback and I am preseason all SEC. And to make this easy, for BMAC's point, let's say we're not in a two-school SEC state. Let's say we are in Louisiana, and I'm at LSU. And a local bank, community bank in Louisiana, comes to me and they say, listen, we really want you to represent us in a marketing campaign, and we'll pay you $15,000 over the course of the 3 months of the football season. And I go, okay, sure, you pay me that up front. I'll sign it. You pay me that up front. I'll cut all the ads for you. You got them, you run them for 3 months. Okay. And BMAC is saying, but what if that same bank, community bank, doubles that, a $30,000 marketing endorsement deal with a kid coming out of high school who just happens to be signing with LSU? Well, see, BMAC's saying, hold on now, we gotta have some kind of measure on this. What class are you? Are you first string or second string? Because what are we going to do? We're going to be doing marketing deals with recruits that aren't even on campus yet, that are twice as much as the marketing deals and name, image, and likeness that we're doing for 4th and 5th year seniors. See, there's so much gray area and loose ends on this deal that I'm skeptical they're going to figure this out anytime really soon. And in the meantime, if they don't figure it out soon, the states, to compete with California and Florida, are going to open up their laws to the name, image, and likeness, and it's going to be an absolute free-for-all. Keith Carter said that it's around a full scholarship at Ole Miss for that athlete. That's per full scholarship. That one full scholarship to that one athlete is giving them around $68,000 to $70,000 a year in tuition, cost of attendance, and medical expenses. Here's another problem. The people on the other side that are lobbying for pay the players and name, image, and likeness, they don't believe any of that's worth anything. They don't believe in the worth of tuition and class. They don't believe in the dollar amount you're saying that your education is worth. They don't believe that you're actually, there's a benefit, a dollar amount in medical expenses, because they're like, look, they play for you. So they have a long way to go. Dellinger says, Sankey acknowledges that he considers the Florida name, image, and likeness law, quote, pretty good, especially compared to California's, but there still are issues, especially relating to agent oversight. Now, there's a ton to scroll through. There's so much there. Senator Ted Cruz is in on this, the Republican from Texas who, ran for the Republican nomination for president. He's in on this. Several others. A senator from Kansas, from Tennessee. Sankey's in on it. Greg Sankey, like many college athletics directors, feels that a third party, not the NCAA, should enforce any name, image, and likeness rules. Listen to that. Do y'all, I don't know if we quite get right now how significant it is that the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, standing on Capitol Hill before a panel of senators and other college leaders, including NCAA President Mark Emmert, and that commissioner of the SEC says, in regards to name, image, and likeness, it ought to be somebody else other than the NCAA who monitors and keeps an eye on this. And Greg Sankey stood in front of him and said that the agent issue of the name, image, and likeness thing will be an issue. Chris on the Davini Equipment phone line. Chris, what's up?
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Just right. What's up?
So I'm all for the athletes being paid. The question I have, I think you want people understanding why the Ohio State president is saying we have to figure out the amateurism is, if they're not considered amateurs, they're a professional athlete.
Right.
And at that point, let's say a car dealership is paying them $20,000. Guess what that $20,000 is not going to cover? The tax bill they now have for receiving goods and services worth $75,000, i.e. their scholarship.
Right.
And so what they're being paid will only cover what they're receiving as a good, because they will be considered a professional athlete. So that's the big gray area that I don't think anybody's understanding, is if they're not amateurs, they're professionals. And if they're professionals, they have to pay income tax on the items they receive.
Chris, it is such a solid point that you're making. It absolutely is true. And it's like being pregnant, right? You're either a pro or you're not. There's nothing in between. You're either pregnant or you're not. And you're exactly right. If there's anything that takes that athlete into the realm of a professional athlete, then they have to pay taxes on anything they make, including their pro. So everything they're getting from the school is therefore taxable. And we've been told a full scholarship is worth $68,000 to $70,000 a year. Chris, excellent call. Thank you. Just getting started on Hump Day. I'm Matt. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, like my hog hat. That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers is a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, Country Pleasin', please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce Country Pleasin' in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a natural hog casing for their sausage. It's soaked in vinegar for a tender snap. Country Pleasin' sausage is smoked in a 4-hour pure smoke process for the best color and flavor. And here's the thing, it's hand cut, so the package experience is great as well. When you check it out on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast, you'll see what I'm talking about. And frankly, let me put it this way. It's the best tasting sausage you'll put in your mouth every time, period. That's Country Pleasin'. Have yourself a Country Pleasin' morning, and always text the show on the Country Pleasin' text line.
Guys, 2020 is here. So new year, that means we got some new products, and I know you guys are probably getting ready for this year coming up. So a lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. So we've got Kubota, we've got Toro, we carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower. So we added this product last year, and I was just trying to kind of wade in the water with it just to kind of see what they would do. Number one, stand-on mower out there. If you do your own research, get online, all roads are going to basically lead back to Wright. So in Red Max, so from the handheld to the Red Max mowers, we have everything here at Davini. You've got homeowner mowers, starting with a 100 series, going up to the 400 series, going up to your full-blown commercial 700 series and your diesel mowers. Yeah, so we've already gotten a lot of calls this year, commercial guys. They're getting ready to plan this coming up season, this coming up year, trying to get their equipment needs ready to go for their customers. So, a big part of our business is dealing with the landscape contractors, those guys that are out every day busting it during the summertime, cutting yards, cutting lawns.
Back on the show. That was an excellent call by Chris, who's bringing up there are so many things that have to be considered. And that's right. If we go full on open the laws up in every state, the way they have in California, kind of the way they have in Florida, even though those two laws are different. Let's just go Mississippi. What if it happens here where, we're going to say, okay, well, it's now basically illegal for the NCAA to keep an athlete here, Kylan Hill, somebody like that. John Rice Plumlee. The law, if it's like the other ones, would be it's illegal here for the NCAA to prevent those kids from being able to earn money on their name, image, and likeness. Okay? And so that opens it up. And what he's saying is, but hold on. It short of even, it may stop short of having to go to court to prove it. But even if it does, you're going to say, well, look, you're either amateur or you're not. Okay, so if you're not amateur and you're pro and you're out here earning money as a professional, then now your income is taxable. It's taxable income, including that $70,000 worth of full scholarship that school is giving you because you're not an amateur, you're a pro. You're just like me now. You're out here in the working world effectively making a living. It's one of the, that's it. Are you going to pay taxes on all that? So he's exactly right. No wonder the president at Ohio State and others around the NCAA are going to continue to go to bat for amateurism. Keeping the athletes in college sports under the umbrella of amateurism is the only way you're going to be able to simply figure out a way to put more money in their pocket. I know for a fact that there are people on Capitol Hill that right now want to just go ahead and say, let's double the stipend everybody's getting. Whatever you started giving them 2 years ago is this extra cost of cost of attendance, cost of living stipend. Double it for everybody. They're trying to keep it simple because if you're not careful, it's going to get complicated real fast. I mean, well, more complicated. Couple of things. First off, on YouTube, Goat Always Green Gaming said, go Hail State from Flint, Michigan. The Flint Tropics and Jackie Moon. One of the more underrated sports movies of all time, in my opinion. Lynn on Facebook said, hey, Matt, Hail State, isn't it too hot for sleeves? Yeah, look, I got long sleeves on. But it's that thin kind of fishing shirt. I was exercising earlier, so I just kept it. I got this cool shirt with the Mississippi State baseball logo on it from the Mississippi State University golf course. They are Hail State GC on Twitter. GC stands for golf course. So hit them up, and you can get a shirt like mine. Real quick, C-Note on YouTube says making money doesn't make you a professional. It's true. It doesn't. Making a certain amount in a certain way does. complicated, right? Well, BMAC then followed it up and says complicated equals corruption. No question about it. Now, on that note, is there already corruption? Yes. Is the answer more corruption? Is the answer, well, it's already corrupt, so let's figure out a way that everybody can just be as corrupt as they want to be, and then that levels the playing field. I'm glad I'm not making that decision. Louvier on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves. Made right here in Mississippi at the Country Meat Packers plant in Florence, right there on Highway 49. And shipped all over the country to grocery stores and Walmarts, places all over the country. You can even get it online at countrypleasin.com. It'll ship it right to your door. It is the best sausage you have ever put in your mouth, and I'm not just saying it. Try it. It's made up of hand-picked hams, bacons, and pork loins. There's no parts that goes into the making of Country Pleasin' sausage. Matt, are you saying that there's parts in other sausage from other companies? Yeah. There's a reason Country Pleasin' is the best. Country Pleasin' text is 885-ESPN. Louvier says, those people who don't believe that a college scholarship has value can please help me pay my daughter's student loans. My son got academic scholarships, and he owes 10% of what his sister owes. Louvier, I was a full scholarship college football player. I was in school for 5 years and redshirted, got a degree, my undergrad degree, every bit of it for 5 years. Room, board, food, cost of living, everything paid for. Every book, every class, everything paid for. When I left and graduated in 2000, I didn't owe one single solitary dime and got to play football and was shuffled right to the front of every job interview line I wanted because of who I was. And they recognized my name because I played football. I'm 43 years old now, and I have friends and classmates who just finished paying off their student loans. It took them 20 years to do it. I'm there with you. Grumpy on the Country Pleasin' text line says, Matt, missed the amount on Ole Miss players. Could you repeat? Many thanks. In the hearing today with the Senate Committee on Capitol Hill on Name, Image, and Likeness, Ole Miss Athletics Director Keith Carter, when asked, said that one full scholarship at Ole Miss gives that athlete $68,000 to $70,000 a year. Covers tuition and everything. Let's go to DJ, who's hanging on the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. What's up, DJ?
Matt, you're truly the voice of reason. I mean, people, simple math, you're talking about an Ole Miss scholarship, Mississippi State scholarship being worth in the neighborhood of $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's significant. But now I'm going to throw this at you. And again, as we talk about an issue that was pre-coronavirus, pre-protest issue, I'm of the opinion the revenue available prior to this will not come back anytime soon. I'm not saying that we're not going to have sports, but not just the coronavirus issue. I really don't want to get too much into the other issue, but I don't see the same levels of revenue anytime soon. I know people, would like to be positive, and I'm a positive person as well. But there's a lot of issues in play other than this virus right now. And I've heard on social media different things that, I won't really say this about I really think college football will be more normal than the pros. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Your NFL, NBA, those revenues, they're not coming back anytime soon. And I'm not going to get into details.
Hey, and DJ, real quick, I was reading this morning, too, about the whole China relationship and how that complicates this thing for the NBA right now.
Right.
What you're saying is totally true. And for the NBA, on top of that lost revenue because of the virus deal, On top of that is their relationship with China that's hundreds of millions of dollars that is just poof gone because, of the China situation and communism and kind of the NBA knowing that all of that is wrong, and they sort of spoke out against it. One guy did, and then they kind of tried to hush it because they knew they were just wanting the money from the China television relationship. I mean, the NBA's got a mess on their hands.
Well, and I'm going to say this. I played college sports, not at the level that you did. I wasn't a household name like Matt Wyatt. But the thing is, when we played, and I'm a little bit older than you, I'm 55, but, we had our differences. But the dressing room, the field, we didn't bring our differences. And now, people see that as a place to bring their agenda. And I'm not saying they don't have the leverage right now. Different groups do. But if they think they have the leverage to bring an agenda, and I don't care what group it is, I'm not trying to point out any group. If they think that fans are going to continue to watch whatever group it is push an agenda in our face during a sporting event, they don't realize the damage and revenue they're looking at. Hey, man, I love your show. I'll hang up and listen.
DJ, thank you very much. Hey, and y'all, a little technical thing. I always, if you notice, I always enjoy when DJ calls because I can patiently wait for him to make his point because I know that when he makes his point, he's out and he's going to move on and open it up for somebody else. C-Note, watching on YouTube, says, yeah, but the school makes all that money back in one game and with shoe deals and that kind of thing. And that is true. There's no question that, we talk about revenue. Okay, the big-time programs and big-time Division I sports, Power 5, they do have apparel deals. Not UCLA anymore, mind you. You saw that news yesterday. Under Armour went, there's no marketing value. We're not paying you that $285 million deal. There's nothing there. That's, okay. But here's the thing, C-Note. Across the entire NCAA, there are many schools that don't make that money back in one game and don't have shoe deals. Okay, and right now under the current NCAA umbrella, they tell you, well, the Sun Belt's not the Power 5, but it's the same level as Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. And they're on the schedule. They're just not the Power 5, but they're the same. Well, no, they're not. Louisiana Monroe doesn't have a big money deal coming from Nike or Adidas. And they don't have 65, 70, 80,000 fans at every game. We got to keep going. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Campuses are empty. The arenas are silent. For now. People here today are few and far between. But soon, a crowd will show up. It's not a matter of if football will be played here. It's a matter of when.
I'll be there. I'm sure you will be too. I'll see you there.
It won't be long now. Can you imagine the return of the crowds to see the return of the team? What a day that will be. And it will be soon. You know, you hear me say that C-Spire is the number one network in Mississippi. That's unquestioned. They are another great Mississippi company as well and really support local sports, high school. You know, you see their logo and their advertisements at Ole Miss and at Mississippi State and at Southern Miss and everywhere. And you may have heard this, you may not have though. I mentioned this recently on the show, but there's a new thing they have at C-Spire called the C-Spire Health app. Okay, go to cspirehealth.com, read about it, sign up, and you put that app on your phone. And basically, if you have a minor ailment, a sickness, a minor health issue, something that, you know, we're not talking about a broken leg or a heart attack. I mean, you know, minor sickness ailments, instead of having to go to the doctor for that and sit in the doctor's office for an hour, if you live out, you know, drive 40 minutes just to get to the doctor's office, you pick up the phone, click on the C-Spire Health app, and within minutes, you are video chatting, like FaceTime. You're video conferencing, talking to a medical professional at University Medical Center. One-on-one, live conversation, like nurse practitioner, someone like that. And a lot of times they can tell you what's going on, maybe even diagnose you right there on your phone and prescribe something without you ever even having to leave your house. Check it out, cspirehealth.com and the C-Spire Health app. Hey, like my hog hat. That stands for country. Y'all, I really appreciate you tuning in. Just thank you so much. However you tune in, whether it's watching a live stream or you're listening on the big, booming, broad, powerful, clear signal of 105.9 ESPN Radio in Jackson Central throughout Mississippi, or online there on the stream. Just however, I really do appreciate it. And all the comments and feedback. It makes the show go, and it's super interesting for me. It makes it a fun time to kind of see what you think and that kind of thing. And the feedback, like C-Note on YouTube, watching on the YouTube live stream, just kind of got right down to the nitty gritty and just said, do you think players should get paid? You know, if you ask me that, my answer is yeah. In some shape, form, or fashion, they should. No doubt. I think where all my doubts come in is, one is if I look at it from the standpoint of if I was in a position of leadership, I don't know that I could find any answers. I struggle with that. I can't come up with all the answers. I can't figure it out smoothly. I got ideas, but right now it's all I have. For instance, I do know that there ought to be some type of incentive and an allowable incentive for the schools to be able to say to their athletes, if you stay here and you finish and graduate here and you've been making tackles and scoring touchdowns for us for 4 years, then when you do that, we've got a fund here waiting on you. $25,000-$30,000 that you're going to start your life on when you, as soon as you cross and walk across the stage and pick up your diploma. Because right now the NCAA is penalizing us if you transfer early, if you start here and don't graduate here, if you flunk, they penalize us. Well, if they're going to do that, we will encourage you to stay here and finish here and get your degree here. We will help you do it, because then when you graduate, I'm going to put $20,000 in a bank account for you that's been building up during the time you've been in school. I mean, I like that idea. The other thing is name, image, and likeness. I don't really have a problem with name, image, and likeness stuff. It's just, here's the deal. Alabama and LSU and Ohio State and Mississippi State and Michigan State and Ole Miss and Illinois and Clemson, all these Power 5 places, it's a whole different world than the rest of quote-unquote Division I. Right now, the NCAA is telling you that it's all Division I. The MAC, the Sun Belt, the Mountain West, they're Division I just like the SEC. It's just the SEC has the power, so we'll call them the Power 5. Well, in any of those schools, they're not even on the same level. So if we do name, image, and likeness stuff, and you open it up, you've got to break off the Power 5 and let them have their own set of rules and their own championship. And you got to break off everybody else and let them have their own set of rules and their own championship too, because guess what? They're not even in the same universe. Yet the NCAA has sat around on its hands for 25, 30 years and not done anything about it because it was a big, fat cash cow they didn't want to mess with. Now that the cow has grown some teeth and is starting to bite back, they've got to understand there's no such thing as everybody's Division I anymore. That's a big part of the problem, in my opinion. All right, let's see who's been hanging on the longest. Chris has been hanging on the Davinia Equipment phone line for a long time. Let's go over there real quick. Chris, I appreciate you being patient. What's up?
Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to I wanted to ask you a question. When you're driving around on the highways, all these big billboards we used to see when we were kids that had all this advertisement on it, what do you see the most on these billboards these days?
Oh, lawyers.
Lawyers about what?
Personal injury.
Truck drivers.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Do you know? Yes, those personal injuries are, every one of them say, if you're in an accident with a big truck, call this.
Yes, okay. Now that the light bulb is coming on, because I remember hearing an ad about that.
Okay, so this is the question. This is the thing, and this will go back to the players and stuff. Truck drivers, for a long time, they were just, unless you were an owner-operator, they were just working under the umbrella of the companies. Now, even as a company driver, now that back in, I think it was 2007, something like that, it was either right at the end of Bush or right at the beginning of Obama, they dubbed us as professionals. So when they dubbed us as professionals, they decided to make it to where we could get more money that way. Well, now, when you have a wreck and you kill somebody or something like that, even if it's the car's fault, you're a professional driver. So therefore, now the truck driver is just as liable as the company, and you can get sued just like the company can, and they can take you for everything you're worth, plus they can go after the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the liability of it, of student athletes starting to become professionals, then there's going to be a whole can of worms that we're not even thinking about if they do that.
Well, there's no doubt.
I'm like you. I'm for the players getting paid because they make millions of dollars for these. All schools make millions more dollars by having football. I mean, because think about UAB. They shut it down, and within 2 or 3 years, what they do, they open it back up because they realized it wasn't going to last very much longer without it.
And within 2-3 years now, they're already building their own dedicated downtown Birmingham football stadium for UAB. That's how quickly they came back and how quickly people jumped in to invest their own money into the college football program and how quickly the city got behind it because, just like you said, they need it. Chris, it's a really good call, and I know you hung on a long time for this. Thank you.
Y'all have a great day, and just be courteous to your truck drivers. Remember, we're out here doing a job. I've seen too much of it lately.
Yeah.
Be courteous and try to realize that you wouldn't want people coming and sitting in between you and your computer. Don't be mean to truck drivers. Don't get over in front of them. You're taking your life in your own hands. Have a good day, and talk to you later.
See you. Thanks, Chris. 2 tweets that we all need to hear. There are so many good nuggets of information that paint a picture for us of the direction that this kind of thing is heading. Listen, though. From Ross Dellinger, covering the hearings today on Capitol Hill in Washington. Former Miami player Eric Winston on the argument of time demands that the name, image, and likeness stuff will have on athletes. Listen to his quote. We're asking athletes to sign these coronavirus waivers, but they can't balance tweeting something out for $100 and still go to class. And then another tweet. Senator Roger Wicker asked Ohio State President Michael Drake, how many of 22 football starters, 11 on offense, 11 on defense at Ohio State, Mr. Drake, of those 22 starters at Ohio State, how many of those would actually benefit from name, image, and likeness? 22 starters. His answer? 3 to 4. So is the whole thing innocuous? Listen to this. And let me just tell you, this is my personal opinion. I know Senator Roger Wicker. He's from my area. We actually, when he's home, we go to the same church. I think a lot of Roger Wicker. He's the real deal. He's an Ole Miss graduate. Senator Roger Wicker, an Ole Miss graduate, quote, if I had the money as a local businessman, I'd want to pay $100 to every member of the Ole Miss football team to tweet something out on my behalf. And he says, I wonder if that's where we're heading. Seriously, it's just a fact. Look, I am a small family business owner, okay? And I'm a Mississippi State guy. And frankly, if it only cost me $100 to get every member of the Mississippi State team to tweet something out on my behalf, I'd come up with the money and do it. That's exactly what he's saying. And he's saying, is that where we're headed? And is that what we want? There's so much there. And the comments and questions from y'all, I'm really impressed with the way everybody's thinking on this. Isn't it weird? Like, why can't we figure this out? Because we all seem to agree, yeah, they ought to get more. We got to figure out how to do it, though. And it's not as simple as just handing it over, or is it? Now, I want to get to one more thing. And listen to me. Coming up in hour 2, we're going to have our countdown of 100 teams in 100 days. That's coming up. But listen, B-Mac, who's watching the live stream over here on YouTube, just Matt Wyatt Media on YouTube, if y'all ever want to go look that up. He says, if players could be paid for a commercial, wouldn't that just give more power to colleges in larger cities? Larger cities have more business. See, I don't necessarily think so, because who owns those businesses in those larger cities? In Atlanta, are all those businesses going to sponsor Georgia Tech players, or are they going to sponsor Georgia players? See, it's Georgia. The real advantage is for schools in a state where they don't have another school to compete with. LSU in Louisiana, Arkansas in Arkansas. That's the real advantage. Hour 2 coming up. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Campuses are empty. People here today are few and far between. But soon, a crowd will show up. It's not a matter of if football will be played here. It's a matter of when.
I'll be there. I'm sure you will be too. I'll see you there.
It won't be long now. Can you imagine the return of the crowds to see the return of the team? What a day that will be, and it will be soon. How you like my hog hat? That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers, a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, country pleasin', please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce Country Pleasin' in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a natural hog casing for their sausage. It's soaked in vinegar for a tender snap. Country Pleasin' Sausage is smoked in a 4-hour pure smoke process for the best color and flavor. And here's the thing, it's hand cut, so the package experience is great as well. When you check it out on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast, you'll see what I'm talking about. And frankly, let me put it this way. It's the best tasting sausage you'll put in your mouth every time, period. That's Country Pleasin'. Have yourself a Country Pleasin' morning, and always text the show on the Country Pleasin' text line.
Guys, 2020 is here. So new year, that means we got some new products, and I know you guys are probably getting ready for this year coming up. So a lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. So we've got Kubota, we've got Toro, we carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here,
Crowd is
it's got all the
alive.
components from the big pumps to you.
Wyatt from the shotgun, two backs alongside.
Knock him out, John.
Wyatt gets the ball.
It won't be long.
Wyatt back to throw. Wyatt looks, fires toward the end zone. Passes, caught for touchdown by Matthew Butler.
Speak to him.
They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the
If I get out of hand, just tell me I'm a jerk and shut up.
Let's go scatter the west, right, tight. That's left. 372 wide stick, C-spot.
The Matt Wyatt Show. He's Radio Wyatt.
Well, how am I going to go to college? I'll just play football.
All right, here we go. Hour 2 of the show has begun. Yeah, words matter, everybody. Words matter. One little word over here on Twitter. I'm about to tell y'all what that is for everybody tuning into the live stream and if you're listening on the radio and everywhere else. Yeah, so I got a graphic. The Mississippi State University Alumni Association sent out a notice to fans regarding football tailgating this fall. And if you tweet that information out there, but you leave out one key word, then all you know what could potentially break loose. Okay, let me tell you what that is. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance across the state of Mississippi. Your home team, you need to go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. And staying connected to you because of C-Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. Here's what it said. Football tailgates announcement from the Mississippi State University Alumni Association. After careful considerations regarding the growing concerns around COVID-19, we've made the difficult decision to cancel football tailgates this fall. This is not a decision we've taken lightly, and this is an incredibly important and exciting event that brings MSU alumni and friends together from near and far. However, our primary concern is always the responsibility we feel toward the health and safety of our Bulldog family. We will continue to explore other ways to engage our loyal alumni community and look forward to resuming our annual in-person event programming once it is safe to do so. Until then, stay safe and hail state. Now, that was an official notice that went out to the Alumni Association. And so what it means is from, the official Alumni Association tailgates, they're not going to have those. Well, I initially sent that out there and said they're canceling tailgating this fall. Well, they are for now for the alumni folks. That's from the alumni. And somebody, I think it was Andrew and some others pointed that out, said you need to put the word alumni in there. And so I did. I corrected it real quick and added the word alumni. And Brandon said, nice correction, Matt. You were about to catch hell. Yeah. That's what you get for trying to do stuff during a commercial break, right? Thanks for tuning in. Y'all continue to comment, text, tweet, all that. I need to get over here to the Country Pleasing text line. It is 885-ESPN, 885-ESPN, or 885-3776 if you need the number. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. We're talking about the name, image, and likeness deal, a whole conversation about that. It's incredibly interesting. We didn't even get to half of the information that came out of today's hearing with the Senate committee and college athletics leaders in Washington. We didn't even get to half of the tweets and the info that came out of that. And the conversation is fascinating with everybody that's calling in on the Divinity phone and texting and commenting on Facebook on the live stream. All that. All right. PRG said only the income earned from name, image, and likeness would be taxable, and that issue would likely be addressed if federal legislation was passed. Well, PRG, but here's the thing. Everybody has lawyers. What about the schools, okay? What about the schools who are out there in Division I? Remember I told you, right? Look, Louisiana Monroe is Division I, just like Alabama, right? But they got lawyers too. Okay, and they can't compete on this name, image, and likeness stuff at all. And what are they? To mess the whole thing up, all it takes is one lawyer and one court case to say, hey, wait a minute. You're either amateur or you're not. And if I can take it to court and prove that they're not, then my school, who right now is broke, because we only put 20,000 in the stands at our school out here in the Mountain West, we're broke. We're going to go more broke. And all I got to do is prove that they're not amateurs. They are, in fact, pros. And if they are, in fact, pros, then every dime we're paying for them to come here is basically benefit to them. And therefore, they're going to have to pay taxes on it. All it takes is one. You see the mess I'm talking about? Hogjowl said, my youngest son made a 34 on his ACT. He got a total and free ride at Ole Miss. He graduated from there in December with a 0 balance and no student loans. Well, first of all, way to go, Hogjowl Jr. He said he is taking the LSAT next month. I said last. He's taking the LSAT next month to try to get to Vanderbilt Law School. Go, son, and woo pig suey. Well, all of the best to him, certainly. QB1 on the Country Pleasing text says, the problem is a college degree doesn't hold the value it used to. Plus, these students major in interdisciplinary studies and don't have anything else on their resume besides football. So they're not getting the return on their investment like people used to. Well, right. But that doesn't matter. I think you're right, QB1. But it doesn't matter. What matters is, what does it cost to get it? What are others paying to get it? And people go, oh, well, somebody argued with me a while back, QB1, on Twitter, and they were like, man, the cost of that tuition is just a number they put down on paper. It's totally bogus. You know, it's just a number. It's not worth anything. Here's the problem, QB1. We just had a national scandal. People going to jail, famous actors and CEOs going to jail for spending under the table, paying, bribing hundreds of thousands and even millions of their own dollars to bribe their way into schools. Yet some people want you to believe that being at that school is not worth anything, and that the scholarship the athletes get to be at that school is overvalued, not undervalued. Something doesn't add up. Jay in Baltimore on the Davini Equipment phone line. Thanks for calling, Jay. What's up?
Well, Matt, quick curveball here. I was going to change subjects, but just saw that Major League Baseball announced the cancellation of all minor league baseball. So obviously biggest concern is with those men and women out there in their jobs, but thoughts on how devastating for players to try to make it to the big show, missing a year of minor league experience. And, of course, the first person you got to think about is Jake Mangum. That's exactly right. Hey, and Jay, it's a little bit of change, but somebody was messaging me just a little bit ago and saying that or asking about JT Ginn getting the big contract that he got. I know you and I talked about that, but isn't it incredible when you look at how they benefited from being in these guys that got drafted this year, how they benefited from being in those 5 rounds financially? It's crazy how that worked out so well for those players. For most of them, not all, but most.
Yeah, without question, as you alluded to yesterday, the Mississippi State kids and the kids that are tied to Mississippi State, they made a chunk of change, didn't they?
They did.
And one other thing is, I did see that Brent Rooker is going to be a part of the 60-man roster. I think he's with the Twins, right?
Right.
So he's going to benefit from this and not be with the minor league going.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Well, and it's so sad to see those guys not get the opportunity. But, Jay, we're not surprised, though, are we? That's the thing for me, the fact that they canceled the minor league deal. I'm just not really surprised by that,
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Right. Appreciate the call, Jay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm actually actively updating the information I had you earlier about the alumni tailgating that Mississippi State's not going to do. Here's what I understand. Getting a couple of questions about it. Here's what I understand. Trying to update that. I just sent out a tweet that says, again, it's tailgating that usually took place at the Hunter Henry Center for alumni, apparently. I want to make sure that's correct. But yeah, you know, it's just a sign. And it puts people just on a little bit of uneasy ground when you see that. It's not like canceling, you know, tailgating campus-wide or anything like that. But if you look at the thing for Mississippi State, they usually have this event where they would, you know, it's open to tailgating for alumni and certain people at their alumni center and the Hunter Henry Center there on campus for game days. And saying, look, we hate to, but we're just going to go ahead and cancel that. You know, as you make your plans and look ahead, we're just not going to have that. And, you know, you wonder what other schools and that kind of thing are going to do something similar. Go ahead and begin to make these little tweaks and these little adjustments. Yeah, I think it's certainly worth noting that that's going on. And Jay in Baltimore, if you're listening, apologies on my part. I might have been just a teeny tiny bit distracted there while we were talking baseball. No excuse. Unnamed texter said, Matt, I lost service, but happy, what is this? Happy what day? I think you have a typo in there. He's telling me it's happy something day. A lot of times we'll look it up and see what day it is nationally. Like it's National Hot Dog Day or National Peanut Butter Cookie Day or stuff like that. But
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bobby, okay, that's Bobby. Is that how we spell it? Bobby Bonilla Day, yeah, he's going to get paid. What's the deal? All the way until 2000 and like way out there. It's just years and years and years. And he hadn't played in years and years. And every year on July 1st, the Mets pay him over $1 million. Can you imagine? I mean, whoever pulled that off, the greatest agent in sports history for Bobby Bonilla. Thanks for the correction, Beaver. I needed all the help I could get on that. Jay texted the show and he said, hey, did MSU announce no tailgating? No, they did not announce no tailgating. But what they did is, for example, the Alumni Association, they do a tailgate for alumni on a particular part of campus, and they just went ahead and announced, hey, we're just not going to do that this year for football. So it's not like campus-wide no tailgating, but the official alumni tailgate they normally have there at the Hunter Henry Center on Mississippi State's campus, not happening. I'm just going to cancel it. Let everybody know ahead of time. Not happening. Ghost Pepper on the Country Pleasing text said, Matt, did Beaver really say he had a picture of Costanza in boxers on his wall? What's he making up now, Beaver, about Costanza?
Okay, well, now this one's true, but I'm a little confused because it happened. We were talking about this on Chris's show, but Chris hasn't been here since Monday.
Yeah, right.
So what are you doing, like traveling back 50-something hours? Why is this just now coming up? But yes, remember the episode of Seinfeld, Matt, where Costanza was playing the game, The Timeless Art of Seduction.
Mm-hmm.
With the lady at the Photoshop place, and he got Kramer to take a picture of him on his couch in nothing but boxers.
Yeah.
You're a lover boy.
Yes.
You are a lover boy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, my best bro, which your best bro is a Breaux.
Ah, I see.
You didn't know that.
That kind of bro. Gotcha.
Yeah. He went to some kind of TV or comic convention in New Orleans, and he brought me back a framed poster of that. It's Costanza doing his pose on the couch. And yeah, it hangs on my wall, and we were talking about what people might think when they come in there and see that.
Hey, isn't that the photo that somebody photoshopped Mike Leach's face onto, and it made its way into the college game day scene? Somebody held up a sign of that, and then it wound up on his office wall, I think.
You know, I never saw that.
Yeah.
You're breaking news on me.
You might look it up. I'm almost certain that it started or originated with, you know how they do the signs for college game day? And somebody took that thing of Costanza and put Mike Leach's face on it.
Oh, I'm looking at it. Yep.
You see it?
He's wearing his headset.
Yeah, he had a headset on. It's great. And if now I could be making this part up, but it seems like he caught wind of it, saw it, and said, I've got to have that. And they worked it out where they got the sign to Mike Leach, and he like propped it up on the wall over there in his office, I think. I think that's the story.
That's awesome.
Isn't it awesome? Yeah, somebody on YouTube said the Costanza. Hey, a couple of things too. We've got 100 teams in 100 days coming up here in just a few minutes. I want to read a couple of these comments. There's some really good questions in here. Thomas on Facebook, on the Facebook live stream, Thomas said, as colleges, implemented the transfer portal, now are looking to pay players for likeness, etc. Well, let's be clear. I don't think it's the schools that are actually paying. It would be some private business, but the schools are kind of in between, obviously. Thomas said, it's become a cheap knockoff of professional ball, pro ball. Free agency, frequent team changes, strikes, and becoming all about money is what eventually led to me tuning out pro sports. There's no question, Thomas, that over the years, this is like I've talked about the NBA. I'm old enough, like I was a child of the 80s and 90s. So I grew up during this golden era of the NBA where it's like every team in every market had a legitimate star on that team, and he played there forever. Bird and the Celtics, Jordan and the Bulls, Magic and the Lakers, Olajuwon and the Rockets, Dominique and Spud Webb for Atlanta, right? Karl Malone and the Jazz, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, Charles Barkley and the Sixers. Of course, he's kind of the first to jump of those stars, and he went to Phoenix. But the list goes on and on. Clyde Drexler in Portland before going to Houston. And all those guys were stars on those teams and didn't go anywhere. There were no super teams because they stayed on their team trying to beat each other for years and years, and it just spoiled all of us. And you live through that, and then you try to hang on to the NBA of the last 15 years where it's the biggest stars are just trying to see how fast they can get on the same team. You're just like, and I get it. It's a valid point that you bring up. Joe on Facebook said, if schools were able to pay student athletes, how would you develop equity throughout the system? If you compare a school like Stanford to State, the tuition, cost of living, etc., would be much higher at Stanford. With that in mind, would it be equitable to pay the student athletes more there, or would that be considered an illegal enticement, or whatever? Again, I think we have to continue to reset every now and then and draw the distinction here that name, image, and likeness is not so the school itself can pay the athlete. It's so the athlete can cash in on his name and his image and his own likeness anywhere, including off campus, outside of school, in town, on the other end of the state or on the other end of the country. But what the schools are saying is, well, we've got to protect amateurism for one obvious reason is all 100 of our football players can't pay taxes on everything we're doing for them. They can't. So who's going to do that? So we have to protect amateurism. But if we protect the amateurism, then how do we have a healthy environment of agents or representatives helping the star athletes who actually there is a demand for their name, image, and likeness? Right? Because I got news for you. In 1999, when I was a senior at Mississippi State, we were a 10-win football team. We beat Clemson in the Peach Bowl. But there's nobody trying to knock my door down to load me up with marketing money so that I would go out here and be their face and voice on TV commercials and stuff. I don't need an agent then. But if this had been going on then, what about Smoot on our team? Seriously, what about him? Willie Blade, defensive lineman. What about those guys? They might need an agent. Be people from all over the place interested in having them market for them or represent them or, be what we call a brand ambassador. Well, he's trying to go to class to play football. So he needs some representation, needs an agent. So how do we make sure there's a healthy environment of agents, people that might represent them? David brought it up on YouTube. He said our athlete's going to hire agents to protect in all these endeavors. Well, that's the question, David. Are you going to hire the agents, and who's going to pay the agent? So we talk about the kid cashing in on his name, image, and likeness. Somebody wants to give him $15,000. Well, how much of that is the agent going to demand? 15%? 10? 20? Who's monitoring what the agents are charging the athletes? All I'm saying is it's like everybody agrees they ought to get something and have something and be able to do something. But nobody can figure it out. Nobody's got the answer. All right, 100 teams in 100 days coming up next, I promise. Team number 66 on the countdown. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, like my hog hat. That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers is a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, Country Pleasin', please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce Country Pleasin' in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a natural hog casing for their sausage. It's soaked in vinegar for a tender snap. Country Pleasin' sausage is smoked in a 4-hour pure smoke process for the best color and flavor. And here's the thing, it's hand cut, so the package experience is great as well. When you check it out on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast, you'll see what I'm talking about. And frankly, let me put it this way. It's the best tasting sausage you'll put in your mouth every time, period. That's Country Pleasin'. Have yourself a Country Pleasin' morning, and always text the show on the Country Pleasin' text line.
Guys, 2020 is here. So new year, that means we got some new products, and I know you guys are probably getting ready for this year coming up. So a lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. So we've got Kubota, we've got Toro, we carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower. So we added this product last year, and I was just trying to kind of wade in the water with it just to kind of see what they would do. Number one, stand-on mower out there. If you do your own research, get online, all roads are going to basically lead back to Wright. So and Red Max, so, you know, from the handheld to the Red Max mowers, we have everything here at Davini. You've got homeowner mowers, starting with a 100 series, going up to the 400 series, going up to your full-blown commercial 700 series and your diesel mowers. Yeah, so we've already gotten a lot of calls this year, commercial guys. They're getting ready to plan this coming up season, this coming up year, trying to get their equipment needs ready to go for their customers. So, you know, a big part of our business is dealing with the landscape contractors, those guys that are out every day busting it during the summertime, you know, cutting yards, cutting lawns, maintaining properties. We've got everything that you guys need to have your season going, and then we have the service to back it up as well, service and parts to back it up as well. Just like this machine right here, this is your Z780.
Coming right back. Hour 2 rolling along. There's more stuff than we can shake a stick at going on here today. It seems that way. Let's see here. I had all those tweets up from Ross a minute ago, and I think I'm going to get to Matt Daddy, Gator Nation, Mississippi Tiger, and Hog Jowl on the country pleasing text line. How about this one, though? Back over on that Senate hearing, just real quick before the text. Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, he was there in Washington today covering the Senate hearing about name, image, and likeness. There was a senator that asked the question of the athletics leaders, asked, how would name, image, and likeness impact the financial circumstances of an athletic department? Ole Miss Athletics Director Keith Carter provided an example of this: a third-party sponsor choosing to strike a deal with an athlete and not the school. Mentioned that it could have a trickle-down effect to other sports in the department. Yeah, so I mean, well, look, we talk about the money that they're making, and hand over fist in some places. Big numbers, hundreds of millions of dollars. They're also spending a lot. And what we do know is that revenue number, which does include marketing and licensing and advertising and sponsorships, not just ticket sales, not just television. All that money comes in, and we see that in a revenue number, maybe for football. But what we do know, too, is that football is footing the bill for a lot of the other sports on campus. And there's currently a law in the country, this Title IX, that there are certain numbers of sports that you will field teams in those sports to make sure that women have the same opportunities to play sports in college that men do. So there's certain numbers of teams you got to field. You got to support all those. You got to pay for all those. If you're giving out scholarships, you got to pay for those scholarships. Travel to and from games, food, room and board, books, tuition, all those things. But it's this really uncomfortable conundrum. Big Power 5 schools have all the eyeballs. They have the biggest stars, the most coveted stars. And what if there is let's just say a 6-figure sponsor out there? $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 they're paying to sponsor certain things in stadiums and on campus, and that money's going into the athletics department. But what if I just strike that deal with the quarterback? That's really what I'm wanting anyway, as a business. Well, I give that money to the player. And what Keith Carter is saying is, okay, it doesn't go into the athletics department. So it's not so much that it takes it away from the athletics department. It's that it's really taking it away from other sports that right now football's paying the bills for. And man, it's a listen, it is a, I don't know, conundrum, it really is the right word. It is sticky, right? Because people are going, well, you're making all that money and getting those sponsorship deals on the backs of these athletes to begin with. Maybe they should get that sponsorship deal instead of the athletics department. And I might go, yeah, okay, well, maybe they should, but we got to cut soccer. Because if that money's not coming in, we can't pay for soccer. Whew. Blah. I don't know if it's ever been more true for me anyway, that saying of, glad it's them and not me. All right, countdown of 100 teams in 100 days leading up to the start of the college football season. We hope on Saturday, September the 5th, the first full opening weekend. We are 66 days away from Saturday, September the 5th. Let's do it.
It's the final countdown.
100 teams.
100
days.
The countdown is presented by Matt Anderson Properties, a member of National Land Realty. Call Matt Anderson at 408-5155. That's 408-5155.
Man, I hope I'm watching this team play football in 66 days. Team number 66 in the countdown is Tulsa. I don't know about this. There's several things I don't know about. One is this fight song. I'm not too crazy about this fight song. Tulsa is going to begin the season in 66 days when they host Toledo. And then in week 2, they will go to Oklahoma State. Going to be interesting. They host Northwestern State out of the state of Louisiana week 3. And then week 4, they will go to Arkansas State in Jonesboro and then jump into their conference there, the American, in week 5 when they go to UCF. In terms of in the conference for Tulsa this year, road games are UCF, South Florida Navy, and Houston. Home games for them are going to be Cincinnati, ECU, SMU, and Tulane. Last year, a little bit of an uptick, but that ain't saying much, okay? Here's what's interesting, and that's why I said, okay, there's several things interesting about this. Let's look at the big picture here. First of all, they are at number 66 on the Football Power Index. Tulsa from the AAC. Number 66 on the Football Power Index. That's the list I'm using to run down the top 100 teams, or 100 teams in 100 days. Football Power Index. A big deal was made on this show and others by the fact that Mississippi State out of the SEC won 8 games 2 years ago, went to bowl last year, coaching change, we know all that. Costello transferring out, was all the way down at number 72 on the FPI, for instance. Yesterday was Michigan State out of the Big Ten at 67. Well, one spot ahead at 66 is Tulsa, who under Philip Montgomery have been downright bad the last several years. Now, I don't know, what he took over. We know that Tulsa, before the whole AAC thing, they had some really good teams. He was the offensive coordinator on some really good teams. They won 11 games in 2013, 11 games in 2014. And then he gets the head coaching job, and in his first year, they went 6-6 and lost their bowl game. They finished 6-7. Year 2, that'd be 2016 under Philip Montgomery. They won 10 games, went 10-3, played in the Miami Beach Bowl. But the last 3 seasons at Tulsa under Philip Montgomery, they've been 2-10, then 3-9 in 2018, and then last year went 4-8. This is a team that the last 3 seasons have won a grand total of 9 games in 3 seasons. 9 games in 3 seasons in the AAC. Last year they finished last in the AAC West. And the Football Power Index has them number 66 on the list, ahead of Michigan State, ahead of Virginia, who played in the ACC title game last year, ahead of Mississippi State. I'm just telling you where it has them. Okay, I wanted to explain why Tulsa is where they are in this list that we're doing here, okay? I just felt the need to point that out. That's all I'm saying. The teams they beat last year, the 4 teams they beat were San Jose State, Wyoming, UCF, upset, huge upset, 34-31, beat UCF, and then East Carolina. They won 2 of their last 3 last year. Yeah. Any questions on Tulsa? Fight song, pretty terrible. Yeah. And they used to be in Conference USA. Here, key stats. 4-8 last year, but they played much better down the stretch. Big upset over UCF in November. Beat down East Carolina, finished the year, and returned 88% of their offensive players. That's 4th in the FBS. Well, that shows you right there one metric that this Football Power Index would include that would maybe overvalue them. I think it's okay. We return all of our offensive players the most. That's good. That's good. But how great is it to return offensive players that couldn't do squat for the last 3 years? Defensively, 34% returning, only 4 starters back. They have a Baylor transfer at quarterback named Zach Smith. He's back for his senior season. Threw for 3,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, 9 picks a year ago on a 4-win team. And recruiting, they've been horrible, frankly. I mean, they've been down there around 90th or so in the country in terms of recruiting. So, not knocking them, I just feel that if you're going to listen to me do a countdown, I just thought I'd explain to you why my list that I'm going by, the Football Power Index, might have a team like Tulsa so high on the list at number 66. Felt like I owed that to you. All right, coming up next, Matt Daddy, Gator Nation, Mississippi Tiger, Hogs Owl, JC, everybody on the Country Pleasing text line coming to you. Stick around.